next speaker, Mr. Tiziano Arboretti Giancristofaro, Project Manager of Italian Landscape Exploration, will have a presentation, Roots of Transhumance and Historic Paths in Abruzzo, Italy. Please.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Tiziano Arboretti and I work in Italy with the ILEX agency. ILEX means Italian Landscape Exploration, and our projects are focused on a different way to develop rural area of Abruzzo. The work I'm going to present subscribes the project of international and interregional cooperation, roots and civilization of Transhumance World Heritage. The project aims to enhance the network of ship tracks and important religious paths as a resource to attract a kind of tourist looking for a direct and authentic relationship with the local community, rural area, history and tradition. So, in the next few minutes, we will see the work carried out, even with the use of gvSIG, on a selection of the many ancient tracks that cross Abruzzo. We begin from the history of transhumance. The ship tracks are grassy paths that have linked two different areas of Italy. On one side, the central and southern Apennines pastures of Abruzzo, Molise, and Marche, where the sheep flock settled in the summer. On the other side, in winter, the coastal area of Puglia, Campania, and Molise. This flock's movement was called transhumance. Transhumance was practiced until the 10th century before Christ, and in the Roman age, a significant economic growth occurred with the development of the practice of transhumant breeding. In contrast, the fall of the Roman Empire brought a decline in this practice. It was only with the Norman political unification and the creation of Suevian Angevin institutional structures at the beginning of the 4th century that the medieval fragmentation of the Abruzzo, Molise, and Puglia was remedied, favoring again the growth of sheep breeding. In this period, the tracks reached an extension of 3,000 kilometers, on which moving 3 million sheep with 30,000 shepherds every year. The wool industry made the southern Apennines, and in particular Abruzzo area, rich and prosperous. Together with the wool, the saffron, characteristic of this area, was also exported as a valuable product. Other products like cheese or lamb were instead sold locally. And so many of the great patrician buildings of L'Aquila came about thanks to this prosperous trade. Sheep breeding continued to be an important social and economic resource in the Abruzzo until its decline began in the 19th century with the cultivating of Apulia's meadowlands. This situation triggers a slow demographic decline characterized by successive migratory flow. But today, transhumance is gaining a new popularity for culture, tourism, and local products. From the rugged mountains and the valley of the L'Aquila area to the unspoiled coast of Vasto, to then return inland over the winding hills of Molise and arrive at the plowed fields of the plain of Tavoliere delle Puglie. This is the Tratturo Magno, a grass pathway 250 kilometers long and 111 meters wide, which connects L'Aquila to Foggia. The route we propose here concerns the first section of the Magno Dovers track, from L'Aquila to the Forca di Penne village. The territory is characterized by a mountainous landscape, delimited to the north by the massif of Gran Sasso and to the south by Sirente-Velino chain. The impressive historical stratification that is highlighted along the edge of routes and the well-documented existence of settlements since the Iron Age demonstrate that the Magno's Drovers tract is a central resource for the economy of the communities that have populated this territory. On the map, Tatto Romagno is the red part, while the yellow one is the Centurelli Montesecco ship track that detached from the Tratto Romagno by the Church of Santa Maria di Cinturelli and rejoined it in Molise to then continue to Foggia. We propose the first section of Cinturelli Bussi. While the ship tracks wind along paths almost certain, well documented, and large tracts of these are still visible, the religious and historical paths are based on the reconstruction proposed by researchers and on historical evidence like churches and ruins that permeate and characterize the track. For example, the walk of Pope Celestino. This path connects the city of Sulmona to L'Aquila. In the 1294, the hermit Pietro Angelerio had set out from his hermitage, that was close to Sulmona, and he went to L'Aquila to be consecrated Pope with the name of Celestino. The route we are recommending follows the same path. You walk along the Aterno Valley, encountering vineyards, medieval towns, hermitage, archaeological remains, and natural beauties such as the Stiffe Caves or the spectacular San Venanzio Gorges. But we don't know everything at the beginning, and so, in the preparatory phases of the work, we have provided two actions. The first action was aimed to the collection of basic information on different paths through both the analysis of the bibliography and the interview with association, institution, and qualified people. The second action was focused on the verification of the ship track's ownership with the cadastral map and the necessary permission to operate on it. In the next phase, we surveyed and mapped both of the local assets and the social and environmental peculiarities. These data were then processed with gvSIG, which has allowed us to identify the problems and the resulting solution. On the field, instead, we carried out the following action: restoring section of an unusable trail, marking of all paths, equipped with a QR code information system. Lastly, with the initiative Adopt a Trail, agreements were made with association, public agency, B&B, and restaurant to ensure the minimum maintenance of a route section. All this work has led to the creation of two maps and two guides. The first guide on the ship tracks contains, in addition to the routes that I mentioned, one more, the hike Celano-Foggia. The second guide, called Waves of the Spirit, in addition to Celestino Path, also contains the San Francesco Way and the Path of the Hermitage. This great historical and natural heritage could return to play an important social and economic role. This could help to deploy, in this area, useful resources to reverse the trend of depopulation still underway. The peculiarity of these paths are in their own linear nature. The ship tracks offer a moving view of the landscape that is crossed and lived internally and not just contemplated. They can represent an original way in the Italian context to look at the landscape. gvSIG allowed us to complete the work in an efficient and economical way. This is very important for a small agency such as ILEX, and so I want to thank the gvSIG developers. Finally, I show you a trailer of the documentary Transhumance by Roberto Zazzara, summarizing of all of which I spoke. So thank you for the attention.